Unfortunately, we've had a number of very significant events that have happened since we last got a briefing from Major General Nadav Padan. Major General, please share with us your thoughts, your insights, and analysis.
So if I very briefly go from the north to the south and then focus on what happened the last 3 days in Gaza Strip, I would say that nothing changed dramatically in at the north in Lebanon. Will continue with this local friction so far under the threshold of war, but I would say that every day the IDF add another click to the kind of target that we're targeting inside Lebanon. And the equations of Hezbollah they've been put before the war, like will kill his soldier for every terrorist that the IDF will kill inside Lebanon or Syria, collapse. So on one hand, Hezbollah opened fire against Israel to support the war in Gaza Strip, but at the other end, the deter and the way calculate his move under the threshold of war very puts a limitation on the ability to achieve goals. We'll have to deal with it and make sure that we're pushing the forces of Hezbollah north to the Litani River, north to 5 kilometers from the borders of Israel. So we will be able to convince our people to move back to their villages and town around along the border. But from tactical point of view, so far the achievement of the IDF are bigger than the ability of Hezbollah to challenge us along the border. Has been mentioned before, continue with his effort to destroy infrastructures and buildings and houses along the border because he didn't achieve to do anything else but destroying buildings. When it comes to Syria and Iraq, we're seeing the same kind of effort. Thank God the US over the last 48 hours very active in attacking Hezbollah inside Iraq and respond with a lot of power against the attack over the last 10 days against the bases of the US and Britain. When it comes to the south, to the Houthis, the war against the Houthis continue. Last night there were a few waves of attack by Britain and the US that succeeded to destroy ground to air and ground to naval missiles, which is a huge tactical success. But the friction and the problem along the Bab el-Manda and the gates to the Red Sea are continuing. When it comes to Gaza,
Major General Padan, can we ask you on that point? So you're saying that from a point of view qualitatively, the impact of the strikes that America and the UK have been doing on the Houthis is very significant. Do you think that anytime soon we'll see a return of cargo ships that have chosen not to go through the Straits of Yemen, Bab el-Mandab, the way that many of them are taking the very long route to get to their places? Do you think that mainstream shipping will return or not in the short future?
Not in the short future, but I totally believe that it will return. The global force will push the Houthis back to the place, and the US tried to recruit China to push Iran, to push the Houthis to withdraw from their idea to block Bab el-Manda, the gate to the Red Sea. So I believe that the global interest is to keep this path open, and because of that, it's not going to take long for the Iranian and for others to ask the Houthis to reduce their friction along this part of the world. I truly believe that there is no other option. But I mean, from a short-term perspective, they'll do whatever they can to echo their support to the Hamas, and that's the only tool they have to deliver those ideas. So from short-term perspective, I think that the friction will continue. From a middle and long-range perspective, I'm definitely sure that this path will open as soon as possible. Ceasefire in Gaza Strip will be enough for them to stop the friction there. When it comes to Gaza Strip, I would say that the IDF more or less withdraw from the north part of Gaza, and they're launching a strike towards center of gravity every second day or so. At the center of Gaza Strip, the operation against the refugee camp at the center of Gaza continue. And the main effort of the IDF right now is in Khan Yunis. The IDF start maneuvering to the west side of Khan Yunis, to the refugee camp of Khan Yunis, which is a very crowded area with a lot of terrorists over the last 48 hours. There is a lot of terrorists that have been killed there, and there is success of this maneuver. They get to a center that produce rockets, and they found storages of ammunition. So the maneuver at the west side of Khan Yunis is definitely a success. And there is a continuous effort to create kind of a buffer zone along the border between Gaza Strip and Israel, to create kind of a gray zone, a buffer zone of around 1K along the border. This operation include creating kind of open space for our observation centers, and destroy buildings that aim the border. And from them at the last few years, there were sniper shooting and rocket launching and others. This operation run by the division of Gaza Strip that's responsible for the security routine of the area. Unfortunately, 2 days ago, during the operation of reservists that tried to destroy a building along this buffer zone, the destruction done by explosion of mines inside those buildings, they prepared 10 buildings, train of 10 buildings to be exploited and destroyed. And during the time that the soldiers are preparing those buildings, there were group of terrorists that launched RPG rocket toward one of the tanks that secured this operation, and another rocket toward the building that unfortunately initiate the explosive device. And 2 of those 10 buildings collapsed with the soldiers inside them, and the soldiers that surrounding them got injured. Unfortunately, in this event, we lost 21 reservists, which is the biggest, the darkest day since the beginning of this operation. It's actually equivalent to 10% of all the fallen soldiers from the beginning of the maneuver. It's terrible day. And add to those 21, we lost another 3 paratroopers during the maneuver in Khan Yunis. So we lost at the same day 24 soldiers, 3 paratroopers, 3 officers from the paratrooper brigade, and those 21 reservists. Terrible day. Not to mention all the people that the soldier that got injured. It's a terrible day. The battalion, just a second. The battalion, actually, the same battalion returned to those buildings and destroyed them 24 hours later, and the mission completed. But that was a terrible day. Sorry, what did you want to ask?
There's a question that a number of the participants asked that if we could ask you, and that is the following. Since in this area of Khan Yunis, it's already been weeks that everyone has been told to evacuate there should be no one in that area. People have been told to evacuate. The question that is asked is the following: why wouldn't we eliminate those buildings from the air as opposed to putting our soldiers at risk, having them do the work being on the ground? And again, we don't know the facts, but that's the question that's coming. If you could try to address that.
First of all, there is many reasons. We are there. The whole area is surrounding with soldiers. So if you want to attack it from the air, you have to actually evacuate the place. That's one thing. The other thing is that there is a kind of effort to save the ammunition of the Air Force for the next month and next day of the maneuver in Gaza Strip, or if we'll need them at the north. Third, and most importantly, you achieve better result when you actually destroy the building from the ground. You can make sure that all the infrastructure, all the tunnels, all the shuttles are destroyed as you want it to be destroyed. And there is another option, by the way, to destroy those buildings with buggers and D9s.
What are they?
The question in most cases said that if the building is 3 stairs or more, you cannot destroy it with D9s, or the result are not going to be as you want it to be. So the best way is to use ammunition. The only thing is that, and we destroy hundreds of buildings like that in this buffer zone. The only issue is that you have to make sure that your plans box of security, what we call, kind of 500 meters surrounding the operation area, that will be secure from terrorists to get close to this place. That's the only thing. And unfortunately, this group of 3 terrorists been able to sneak through those forces that create this box and launch 2 rockets toward our soldier. That's mistake that we have to, the IDF have to check. But definitely there is better result when you destroy the building from the ground. And D9s, after the explosion of this building, are cleaning them and make sure that the site of those posts along the border will see the whole area. I mean, we'll see they'll have like site of at least 1K at the center of Gaza Strip and all along the border. The second question about the evacuation of citizens or civilian that got the wrong name uninvolved, that a lot of them are involved from Khan Younis. The problem is that we're fighting against Hamas, that using those people as human shield, and they are blocking them from leaving Khan Younis to the south. Over the last few days, thank God, Hamas are hiding and are not being able to block all the effort of the citizen to go to the south, and thousands of them are moving to the south and evacuate the west side of Khan Younis and the refugee camp of Khan Younis, and that will provide the IDF ability to maneuver easily in those area. The only thing that limited our ability to operate, to use our forces, our power, is the existence of civilian and the effort of the IDF to avoid as much as it can from collateral damages. I'm not so sure who is still in Khan Younis and who ran to the south. The only place right now in Gaza Strip that's safe for terrorists, if you will, is the area of Rafiah. And the IDF started, I think, leaders in Rafiah from the air and by using special forces. I don't know if it's been published yet or not, but there was 3 attacks over the last 24 hours of special forces and strike against leader of Hamas in Rafiah. So, if you will, if I'm taking one step backward and look from bird's eye view of what's happening in Gaza Strip, we withdraw from the north part and we're striking the center of gravity is inside the north. We're launching maneuver at the center and the north-south in Khan Younis, and we're launching special operation at the south part of Rafiah right now. That's the way the IDF maneuver inside Gaza. We start releasing reservists and moving soldier and forces to the north, getting ready to welcome change the situation at the north part of the border. So not waiting for finish all our goals and achieving all our goals and all our missions in Gaza Strip before getting ready to move forward at the north. And when we take risk with our strike at the north, you always have to keep in mind that those strike could lead us to extend the operation and even get to a full-scale war at the north. So that's definitely will need more forces at the Northern Command, and that's what the IDF is doing, parallel to what you see in here at the south in Gaza Strip. That's more or less conclude or wrap up the situation right now in the war. And if there is any questions, Steve.
Yeah, one question I wanted to ask you, and this goes back to a question that we ran out of time last time. You took a number of American and British generals when the war was going on in the northern Gaza and Gaza City. Could you share with us, whatever you're allowed to share with us, the experience and their opinions, observations, seeing the Israeli troops working in probably the most densely populated situation in the history of warfare?
So the whole group that I've been with 3 times are part of were part, or their nation were part of the coalition that fought in Iraq, and some of them in Afghanistan. They have experiences in fighting terror and guerrilla. They have experience in fighting inside urban area. And they all were shocked from the kind of facility, sub-terrain system, amount of ammunition, amounts of rocket, and so far and so on, that we're facing in Gaza Strip. So if they compare it to what the coalition faced in Iraq and Afghanistan, they definitely could say, from professional perspective, that this area is a lot more complicated, a lot more crowded when it comes to terror and terror facilities, and a lot more, I would say, developed or sophisticated than the enemies and the challenges that the coalition faced in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were shocked from another thing. They met commanders and had brief from brigade commanders. So they were in shock from the way the IDF treat the people of Gaza and the way that the IDF, or the method the IDF used to avoid collateral damages. They not all of them, but some of them told us that we are insane, that the risk that we are taking is not professional, and if it was the US or Great Britain, they will bomb the whole area without any doubt. Israel working under another level of inspection, I would say, and we have to be more sanded than the Pope himself. And thank God, the professionality and the skills that we developed over the years allowed us to achieve our mission without being judged for losing our value. And I must tell you another thing. It's not only because we have the international inspection. We have our own inspection. We're fighting to make sure and defend our citizens, to defend the borders of Israel, but also to defend our values. And you have to remember, when it comes to Israel, it's not war over the ocean that nobody listened to it and nobody cared. It's the whole community of Israel that involved deeply in every decision, in every event inside Gaza Strip, and to deliver the way that we are judging ourselves and the value that we are using during the maneuver in Gaza Strip to attain the people of Israel and give us the inside Israel the ability to fight and feel that we are doing the right thing from every perspective you can look at it. So it's not for the international community to judge us, it's for us to be able to look at ourselves bravely, truly, and understand 100% that we are doing every effort on earth to keep our values.
Ladies and gentlemen, that says it all. This is the army. These are the men and women that we are supporting, and that we're doing everything we can to provide for them in terms of their most critical, urgent needs. It's the most moral and ethical army on earth. And it's one thing to say those words, but you just heard from Major General Padan, in the eyes and in the mouths of the leadership of two of the most ethical, moral armies that have ever existed in history, the Army of the United States of America and the Army of Britain, of the United Kingdom. That is what they shared with Major General Padan when he took them through the battles in Gaza City, in northern Gaza, and in other parts. Major General Padan, thank you very much, and want to wish the soldiers of Israel, the people of Israel, we want to wish them security, safety, and God should look after them. And to each and every one of you who are supporting them, we're incredibly grateful. Thank you.